Hey, welcome back to this Money Monday edition of Liquid Lunch. I'm John Tobacco. Liquid Lunch is coming to you live every day, Monday to Friday, noon to 1 Eastern from the Newsmax headquarters. And, of course, we're at the Question Tequila Studios. Today on Money Monday, the Dow Jones is down significantly this morning on fears from tariffs. Trump said he's going with them. China says they don't care. They're not backing off. The market is vomiting down almost 700 points, but stay calm. Things will stabilize and something will come out of this. But the big news, unfortunately, that we have to continue talking about today is these two heinous attacks, two mass shootings in two parts of the country. And we bring on today with us another guest who knows where the rubber meets the road on all this stuff, Tom Verni. He's a retired NYPD detective. He's of course, trained in all firearms, and he's a police academy instructor. So you know about law enforcement, you know about how we track down these kind of crimes, and you know all about the ill effects of guns from, being a safety officer and first responder for years. In New York, we've had this spate of people throwing buckets of water over cops' heads and the mayor not having their back.
Right.
Okay. And in this instance, when gunshots break out and there's a mass shooter out there, we see what cops do. They don't look what color people are getting shot. They don't look what's happening. What they do is everyone's running away and cops run towards them. And no one was going to throw a bucket of water on the cops then. What does it really tell you when mayors like de Blasio let their cops be disrespected, and then you have an incident like this when you see the cops run right down in 45 seconds, take the guy out?
Well, thank you for having me on. And you have to remember that Mayor de Blasio ran his campaign largely anti-police, anti-NYPD. So it's not surprising that, 5 or 6 years later, he still has no heart for the cops. And that's not shocking at all. And it just goes to show that we don't need somebody like that in the White House, not even close to that. So, with any luck, hopefully he'll be out of the picture soon as far as the race is concerned. But, when it comes to what happened in Dayton, Ohio, and El Paso, Texas, I mean, just awful, awful situations that we've had here, right? And let's not also forget, by the way, we had 7 people killed and almost 4 dozen people injured in Chicago this weekend. And nobody seems to be talking about that either. So, and all these incidents were different upon themselves, right? So the Chicago shootings, from what I made to understand based on reporting that I've seen, most of them are largely gang-related or not far from. The Dayton, Ohio shooting was a psycho who's been kind of off the edge for a while. And El Paso, we had this young troubled kid, racist, white supremacist potentially, with this manifesto, and a penchant for Mexican people, right? So we have 3 separate ideologies behind these mass shootings, but all of them bring us to the bottom line, which is our streets are awash in guns. There are illegal guns flying around all over the place, and legal guns, quote unquote, that are in the hands of people that shouldn't have them. So, how we're going to come to a point where the pain is great enough that something is done, I don't know when that's going to be, but clearly we haven't reached that point yet.
And, nobody knows more about policing and security than you, not only an NYPD detective yourself, but you're a certified trainer for the police academy, right?
Yes.
And I am it's so interesting that you compare Chicago and these mass shootings, because I've heard so few other people draw that same comparison, but they're all gun violence, and you're right to point that out. We're hearing renewed talk about an assault weapons ban, which was in place for 10 years before it was allowed to expire. Right. Do you think that would be a step in the right direction?
Well, I think there's a number of steps that would be in the right direction. An assault weapons ban, I think, would be one of them. I'm not a big fan of assault weapons. I don't believe they should be sold. They should be in the hands of the military, and/or special operations of police departments when they're outgunned. There's no reason that I can see that any citizen needs to have that type of firepower, because inevitably the police are going to have to interact with them during a crisis situation, and the police are going to be outgunned. Right? So, I'm all for people protecting themselves under the Second Amendment, protecting themselves, their family, their homes with firearms, shotguns and rifles for hunting. I'm all for that. Not a problem with that.
Long guns. Long guns.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what the
And
Second
that's-
Amendment came around. They were long guns.
Yes.
And by letting police officers, first responders, military have automatic weapons, it gives a leg up to the people that should have a leg up.
Yeah.
Tom, I want to thank you very much for coming on
Sure.
the last minute.
No problem.
Hopefully we can have you back as these things emerge. And Tom Verni, NYPD detective, trainer, educator, and you're watching Liquid Lunch, where we bring you the best guests who know where the rubber meets the road. We'll be back right after this.